My daughter chose her honeymoon over my cancer surgery, so I made sure she'd never forget the cost of that choice. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. Well, mine took 3 years to prepare, cost $2 million, and she still has no idea what's coming. My name is Eleanor, and at 73 years old, I'm about to die with the biggest secret of my life. When I needed her most, she chose Italy over me. So I chose to teach her the most expensive lesson she'll ever receive. She just doesn't know it yet. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks. It all started on a Tuesday morning in March. I was having my morning coffee, the same routine I'd followed for 40 years. When the phone rang, Dr. Patterson's voice was calm, but I could hear the weight behind his words. Eleanor, we need to discuss your test results. Can you come in today? My heart dropped. At my age, urgent doctor calls rarely bring good news. I'd been feeling tired lately more than usual, and there was this persistent ache in my chest that wouldn't go away. I told myself it was just old age catching up with me, but deep down, I knew something was wrong. That afternoon, sitting in Dr. Patterson's sterile office, the words hit me like a freight train. Breast cancer. Stage 3. Aggressive. Surgery needed immediately, followed by months of chemotherapy. How long do I have if I don't treat it? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Eleanor, let's focus on treatment. You're strong, and we caught it early enough. But we need to move fast. The surgery was scheduled for the following Monday. 6 days to prepare, to get my affairs in order, to tell my family. My daughter Victoria was the first person I called. Victoria is my only child, my pride and joy. At 35, she's a successful lawyer, married to a wonderful man named Charles. They'd been trying to have children for years, and their wedding last year was the happiest day of my life. I thought we were close. I thought she loved me as much as I loved her. Mom, that's terrible news, she said when I told her about the cancer. But you're strong. You'll beat this. Victoria, I need you here. The surgery is Monday morning, and I'm scared. There was a pause. A long, uncomfortable pause that made my stomach turn. Mom, I wish I could be there, but Charles and I leave for our honeymoon this weekend. We've had this planned for months. It's our dream trip to Italy, and we've already paid for everything. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Victoria, this is cancer surgery. I might not wake up. Don't be dramatic, Mom. You'll be fine. These surgeries are routine now. I'll call you from Rome. Dramatic. She called me dramatic for being afraid of cancer surgery at 73 years old. Can't you postpone the trip? Just for a week. Mom, be reasonable. We can't just cancel our honeymoon. It's not fair to Charles, and honestly, you'll probably be sleeping most of the time anyway. Mrs. Henderson from next door can check on you. Mrs. Henderson. She wanted an 80-year-old neighbor to take care of me instead of being there herself. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying our conversation, hoping I'd misunderstood something. But the more I thought about it, the clearer it became. My daughter, the person I'd sacrificed everything for, couldn't spare a week from her vacation to be with me during the scariest moment of my life. I raised Victoria alone after her father died when she was 8. I worked 2 jobs to put her through college and law school. I sold my mother's jewelry to help pay for her wedding. I'd given her everything, and this is what I got in return. The weekend passed in a blur of pre-surgery preparations and sleepless nights. Victoria called once, briefly, to wish me luck. She sounded distracted, probably packing for Italy. Monday morning arrived gray and cold. I took a taxi to the hospital alone, watching families saying goodbye to their loved ones in the lobby. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here I was, surrounded by people, but completely alone. The surgery took 4 hours. When I woke up groggy and in pain, the first thing I did was check my phone. No messages from Victoria. Not one. Mrs. Henderson did come by that evening, bless her heart. She brought soup and sat with me for an hour, holding my hand while I cried. This woman, who was barely an acquaintance, showed me more love in that moment than my own daughter had in weeks. "Where's Victoria?" she asked gently. "Italy," I whispered, ashamed to admit it. Mrs. Henderson's face hardened. "That girl doesn't deserve you, Eleanor." Those words stayed with me through the long, painful nights that followed. Victoria called twice during her 2-week honeymoon. Brief calls, asking how I was feeling, then quickly changing the subject to describe the Colosseum or the canals of Venice. While she was taking romantic photos in Rome, I was learning to change my surgical dressings. While she was dining in fancy restaurants, I was struggling to keep down the little food I could manage. While she was making love to her husband in luxury hotels, I was lying awake, wondering if the cancer had spread. The biopsy results came back while she was still in Italy. The cancer had spread to 2 lymph nodes. I would need aggressive chemotherapy, starting immediately. When I called to tell her, she was at the Vatican. "That's rough, Mom, but Dr. Patterson is the best. You're in good hands. Listen, we're about to go on a tour. Can I call you later?" She never called back that day. It was during my 2nd round of chemotherapy that the idea first came to me. I was sitting in the treatment chair, watching the poison drip into my veins, surrounded by other cancer patients whose families had driven them there, held their hands, brought them blankets. I was alone, as always. That's when I remembered the life insurance policy. $2 million with Victoria as the sole beneficiary. I'd set it up years ago, wanting to make sure she'd be taken care of if anything happened to me. She didn't even know about it. I'd planned to tell her someday, maybe when she had children of her own. But why should someone who couldn't be bothered to support me through cancer benefit from my death? The thought consumed me through the weeks of treatment. Victoria came to visit twice during my 3 months of chemotherapy. Twice. Both times, she seemed impatient, checking her phone, mentioning appointments she had to get to. "You look good, Mom," she'd say, lying through her teeth. I looked terrible. I'd lost 30 pounds and all my hair, but she didn't want to see my suffering because it made her uncomfortable. After my final chemo treatment, I made a decision that would change everything. I called my lawyer, Robert Westfield, a man I'd known for 20 years. "Robert, I need to change my life insurance beneficiary." "Of course, Eleanor. Who would you like to designate?" I'd thought about this carefully. The Children's Hospital. All of it. Robert was quiet for a moment. "Eleanor, that's a significant decision." "Are you sure?" "Completely sure." The paperwork was filed that week. Victoria had no idea what I'd done, and I had no intention of telling her. She'd made her choice in March when she chose Italy over my surgery. Now, I am making mine. Life went on. My hair grew back, thinner and grayer than before. The cancer was in remission, but the damage to my relationship with Victoria was permanent. She'd call occasionally, usually when she needed something: money for a house down payment, help with legal fees for Charles's business, emotional support. When she and Charles were having problems trying to conceive, I gave her the money she asked for, but my heart wasn't in it anymore. Every time I looked at her, I remembered lying in that hospital bed alone, checking my empty phone while she sipped wine in Tuscany. The real test came 2 years later. Victoria finally got pregnant, and suddenly I was important again. She called almost daily, wanting advice, wanting support, wanting me to be excited about becoming a grandmother. And I was excited despite everything. This baby was innocent. This baby didn't choose Italy over my cancer surgery. When little James was born, I fell in love instantly. Victoria seemed to soften too, maybe understanding for the first time what it meant to love someone more than yourself. "Mom, I want James to know his grandmother," she said one day while I was holding him. "I want him to know how lucky he is to have you." For a moment, I almost weakened, almost told her about the insurance policy, almost changed it back. But then I remembered those dark nights during chemo, wondering if I was going to die alone because my daughter was too busy enjoying her honeymoon to care. Some wounds run too deep to heal completely. Victoria started bringing James over regularly. I'd watch her with him, seeing the fierce love in her eyes, and I'd think about how I'd felt that same way about her once. How I'd have done anything for her, sacrificed anything for her. How I sacrificed everything for her. One evening, while she was changing James's diaper, she said something that stopped me cold. "Mom, I've been thinking about when you were sick. I know I wasn't there for you the way I should have been." My heart skipped. Was this finally the apology I'd been waiting for? "I was young and stupid," she continued. "I didn't understand how serious it was. If it happened again, I'd handle it differently." Young and stupid. She was 35 years old when I had cancer, not 15. But she was trying in her way. "I forgive you," I said, and I meant it. But forgiveness doesn't erase consequences. The years passed quietly. James grew into a bright, funny little boy who called me Grandma Ellie and filled my heart with joy. Victoria seemed happier too, more settled. She'd bring James over every Sunday for dinner, and we'd almost feel like a normal family. Almost. The subject of money came up occasionally. Victoria would joke about how she hoped I was spending my money on myself, not saving it all for her. She'd laugh and say she didn't want to inherit anything for 50 years, that she wanted me around forever. If only she knew. Last month, everything changed again. I went for my routine checkup, the same appointment I'd been having every 6 months for 3 years. Dr. Patterson's face told me everything before he said a word. The cancer was back, more aggressive this time, and it had spread to my liver and lungs. Stage 4. Terminal. How long? I asked, surprised by how calm I sounded. With treatment, maybe a year. Without treatment, perhaps 6 months. I chose treatment, not because I thought it would save me, but because I wanted more time with James. At 76, I wasn't ready to leave him yet. This time, Victoria's reaction was different. She cried on the phone when I told her. She cleared her schedule to come with me to doctor appointments. She researched treatment options and drove me to chemotherapy. "I'm not going anywhere this time, Mom," she promised. "I'm staying right here." And she did. She was there for every appointment, every treatment, every bad day. She brought James to cheer me up when I was feeling sick. She cooked my favorite meals when I could barely eat. She held my hand during the scary moments and celebrated with me during the good ones. Watching her take care of me, I started to wonder if I'd been too harsh. Maybe people really do change. Maybe she'd learned from her mistakes. But then I'd remember the loneliness of that first cancer battle, and I'd know I'd made the right choice with the insurance policy. Actions have consequences, even when those actions happened years ago. Last week, Victoria sat beside my bed after a particularly difficult chemo session. James was napping on the couch, worn out from entertaining me with his dinosaur collection. "Mom, I need to tell you something," she said softly. "I've been carrying this guilt for years about when you first had cancer. I was selfish and scared, and I handled it all wrong." She was crying now, real tears, not the crocodile tears I'd seen her use in court. "I told myself that missing your surgery didn't matter because you were going to be fine. But the truth is, I was terrified of losing you, and I thought if I wasn't there, somehow it wouldn't be real. I know that doesn't make sense, but I was a coward." I listened, feeling a mix of emotions I couldn't untangle. "I've regretted it every day since then," she continued. "I should have been there. I should have held your hand and told you everything was going to be okay. I should have been the daughter you deserved. Her words were everything I'd wanted to hear 3 years ago. But now, facing death again, they felt both too little and too late. I forgive you, I said again, and I meant it even more this time. You're here now, and that matters. She squeezed my hand. I love you, Mom, more than you'll ever know. I love you too, sweetheart, and I do love her. That's what makes this so complicated. Love and disappointment can exist in the same heart. Forgiveness and consequences can coexist too. Yesterday, Victoria brought up the subject of my will. Not directly, but in that careful way people do when they're trying not to seem greedy. Mom, I hope you know that, James, and I don't expect anything when you're gone. We just want you to be comfortable now. She was lying, of course. Not maliciously, but she was lying. She expects to inherit something significant. She doesn't know about the life insurance policy, but she knows I've lived frugally my whole life and saved most of my money. What she doesn't know is that the house and my savings will go to her about $400,000 total. It's the life insurance money, $2 million, that will go to the children's hospital. I've thought about telling her, especially during these past few weeks when she's been so attentive, but then I imagine her reaction, and I know it would ruin these last months we have together. She'd be angry, hurt, maybe even contest the decision. She'd demand to know why I didn't trust her enough to tell her. The truth is, I don't trust her. Not completely. Not after what happened before. She's being wonderful now, but where was this Victoria when I needed her most? Why did it take a terminal diagnosis to bring out the daughter I raised? Some might say I'm being cruel, that I should tell her so she can prepare financially. But Victoria is a successful lawyer married to a successful businessman. They don't need my insurance money to survive. The children at the hospital, however, need every dollar they can get for treatment and research. I've made peace with my decision. The money will do more good healing sick children than it would sitting in Victoria's investment account. And maybe, just maybe, it will prevent another mother from lying in a hospital bed alone while her child is off enjoying themselves somewhere. This morning, James crawled into bed with me and asked if I was going to die soon. Kids have a way of asking the questions adults dance around. Yes, sweetheart, I am. But not today and not tomorrow. We still have time. Together. Will you watch me from heaven? He asked with the innocent faith of a 4-year-old. Every single day, I promised him. Victoria was standing in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. Later, she thanked me for being honest with him, for not lying about what was happening. You're a good grandmother, Mom. James is lucky to have you. He's lucky to have you too, I said, and I meant it. Whatever her faults as a daughter, Victoria is a devoted mother. She'll never leave James alone in a hospital because she has somewhere more exciting to be. The irony isn't lost on me that I'm dying surrounded by love while I spent my first cancer battle alone. Victoria learned her lesson, but it came at a cost. Trust, once broken, never fully heals. Love remains, but it's different now, tempered by experience and disappointment. I don't regret changing the insurance beneficiary. I can't regret it. The Children's Hospital will use that money to save lives, to fund research, to make sure other children have the chance to grow up and love their parents the right way from the beginning. Victoria will inherit enough to know I loved her, but not enough to forget the lesson about consequences. The house, the savings, the jewelry, it's more than many people ever see. She'll be fine financially, and maybe someday she'll understand why I made the choices I did. As I sit here tonight, watching Victoria read to James in the living room, I feel something I haven't felt in years: peace. Not because I'm dying, but because I'm finally at peace with my decisions. I forgave Victoria for her selfishness, but I didn't forget it. I chose to love her while still holding her accountable. Some people might call what I did vindictive. Others might call it justice. I call it natural consequences. We teach children that actions have results, but somehow we forget that lesson applies to adults too. Victoria chose her honeymoon over my cancer surgery. That choice shaped everything that came after. My choice to change the insurance beneficiary was shaped by her choice. It's not revenge, it's cause and effect. The hardest part is knowing I'll never see how this story ends. I'll never know if Victoria learns about the insurance policy from my lawyer or from the hospital's thank you letter. I'll never know if she's angry or if she understands. I'll never know if she tells James about his grandmother's final lesson about choices and consequences. But maybe that's okay. Maybe some stories are meant to end with questions instead of answers. What I do know is this. I lived my life giving everything to my daughter, and when I needed her most, she wasn't there. When she needed me most, at the end, I was there. The money will go where it can do the most good. And Victoria will go on to live her life with enough resources to be comfortable, but not so much that she forgets what really matters. Love is complicated. Family is complicated. Forgiveness is complicated. But consequences are simple. The choices we make today echo into tomorrow, and sometimes those echoes last longer than we do. I hope Victoria raises James to understand that love means showing up, especially when it's inconvenient. I hope she teaches him that family comes first, that honeymoons can be postponed, but moments with the people we love cannot be reclaimed once they're gone. Most of all, I hope she forgives me for this final choice, even if she doesn't understand it. Just like I forgave her for hers, even though I never forgot it. Dr. Patterson says I have a few weeks left, maybe a month if I'm lucky. Victoria doesn't know how close the end is yet, and I won't tell her until I have to. These last days should be about love, not about looming grief. Tonight, I'll hold my grandson and tell him stories about his mother when she was little. I'll remember the good times, the moments when Victoria was everything I hoped she'd be. I'll let myself feel proud of the woman she became, even as I hold onto the disappointment of who she was when I needed her most. Tomorrow, Victoria will drive me to my last chemotherapy appointment. She'll hold my hand and tell me everything will be okay, just like she should have done 3 years ago. And I'll squeeze her hand back and tell her I love her, because despite everything I do, the insurance papers are in my safe, along with my will. Robert knows what to do when the time comes. The Children's Hospital knows they're receiving a significant donation, but not when or from whom. Victoria knows she's loved, but not what she's lost. And me, I know I'm dying with a clear conscience and no regrets. I loved my daughter enough to forgive her, but I loved myself enough to hold her accountable. Sometimes that's the best any of us can do. The phone is ringing now. It's Victoria checking on me like she does every night. Tonight, like every night, I'll tell her I'm fine, that I love her, and that I'm grateful she's in my life. All of these things are true. What I won't tell her is that love and accountability can coexist, that forgiveness doesn't erase consequences, and that sometimes the greatest act of love is teaching someone that their choices matter. In the end, we all make choices. I chose to change my life insurance beneficiary. Victoria chose her honeymoon over my surgery. These choices will outlive both of us, rippling forward in ways we may never fully understand. But I sleep peacefully knowing that $2 million will help save children's lives instead of padding someone's bank account. And maybe, just maybe, my choice will help Victoria understand that being a good daughter means more than showing up after the damage is done. Thanks for watching. Please support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to tell us where you are watching from in the comment section.